And good morning, Hoosier Nation, and welcome to another victorious edition of Hoosier Morning After. This is Hoosier Morning After Maryland. Last night in the late game, not so late game, but in the late game, Indiana goes on to win its first Big Ten game of the season against Maryland, 65-53, bringing Indiana to 1-0, undefeated currently in the Big Ten season. A great way to start it off, conference play. Indiana's now 6-1 on the season overall. Just a great start. What a great effort. What a great launch for this team. Contributions up and down the roster for a majority of the game. Mackenzie Mbaku, as I'll get into later on, takes a great step forward, as does Trey Galloway, becoming the player a little bit more that we expect him. We know he can be for us. Overall, just fantastic movement off the ball on offense. People getting downhill, staying aggressive, attacking the basket. It's really kind of what it did for IU. Then with about 8 minutes left in the game, IU got a little too comfortable with that lead. And that lead was up to 23 at that point. Getting tired as well, too, from the aggression and stuff. And you're going to have that. You're going to have teams that when you're up by quite a bit, you're going to relax. You're going to be tired. You're going to come down and like, well, maybe I don't need to necessarily stop the guy this much at this time. You're going to relax a little bit. And Maryland was a little bit obviously desperate at that point and was playing a little bit more aggressive. But just great to see IU then close it out. Obviously, things were well handled, and had it not been for that little let up and everything that had that big lead at that point, obviously the score would be very different. But defensively, fantastic game. IU finishing just allowing 53 points is great. Obviously, you'd like to see a little bit more points than 65, and it obviously could have been had we not had that lull in the last quarter of the game. I'm your host, Chad Schwartzkopf. Martha is out, very much like Xavier Johnson. Was a game time decision. It's full swing basketball in Indiana. Basketball season is in and everything like that. And from the excitement of the new football coach, Martha's out there picking up other mopping jobs to contribute to Indiana NIL and get things growing and everything for this athletic department and things. A lot of excitement, a lot of energy in Bloomington right now, which is great to see. A wonderful win, a new coach, all of that stuff. Continuing those great vibes. What was really great to see in this game last night was Trey Galloway. He's one. You can just rewind back to last Hoosier Morning After show. We've kind of been a little curious about when we're going to see the Trey that we know, and we've been a little bit bullish on him. He's a senior. He's a leader. He's been at IU for a while now, and we have high expectations for him. And this was a game where he started to show us where we hope he would be and where he could be for this team. IU scoring 12 points for IU, 6 assists, 6 rebounds, just 2 turnovers. Missed the 1 3 that he took. I'd love to see him take more threes, obviously, but he's got to see that in rhythm. Just great leadership and just got downhill and attacked the basket like we like to see. I think we noticed that in that lull, both from the effort standpoint that I mentioned before, just overall with the big lead and everything, but there was moments where he was in with a lineup where he was going to have to be the main ball handler. And I think he does obviously a lot better when he's the second option, when all that pressure isn't on him. And you could kind of see in that little point when IU kind of relaxed a little bit that he had the pressure back on him, and it looked like that he needed to deliver rather than just playing his game and staying aggressive like he was. Maybe that's him overthinking. Maybe that's what's gotten in his way before. And at the beginning of the game, it just clicked for him to just trust his instincts and getting downhill, and that ball movement that coming off those screens, everything like that looked really great from him. And I think a lot of that was due to Cups. When Cups was out there and he had the ball, he had stepped up in a good way, kind of taking over for it. And that's kind of obviously what he needed to do. Cups coming in. He obviously didn't really light up the stat sheet for Indiana in this game. Didn't score any points, 0 for 2 from the field, 0 for 1 from 3. Didn't have any assists, had 2 turnovers, 2 steals, but I still thought he looked really active out there. Did a lot of off-stat things, disrupted a lot of things. They obviously made a effort when he was in there not to get him guarding Young. They wouldn't switch. They kept Trey on him. At that point, that was a smart move because Cubs does still struggle a little bit against elite guards of other teams, guys that can get downhill, that are quick with the ball, and Xavier Johnson type of player that has more athleticism than Cubs does. That's where he struggles defensively. So good call from the coaching staff to kind of avoid those switches for him and put him in the position where he needed to. And obviously that's what he needs to do with X being out and listed day to day. Who knows when we get him back with the kind of a tough stretch that we have right now in this schedule. Obviously we would really want him to be available for IU. We'd like to see him out there. We'd like to have his impact, but he is far too important for this team in the long run. And I'd rather have him down towards the back half of the season fully healthy than risking him right now where he can retweak something or when he's not 100% getting back in. So who knows what that is, what's going on. Obviously, IU's being tight-lipped on that. You hear different things, but I'm not going to speculate on any of that. But it's obviously something that's bothering him enough and nagging him enough that he's sitting out and has a boot on. And he's just wanting to be out there. He's obviously a competitor. It's killing him. And obviously, it's good to see the team succeed without him and everything. And maybe that makes it worse for him. Maybe that relaxes him a little bit. But he needs to stay in a good headspace in that meantime. But as Coach's credo is, next man up. So that next man up who's gotten a lot of run that we obviously didn't expect to see much of, and we haven't seen much of, has been Anthony Leal. And I really like the contributions that he does. He's not going to light up the stat sheet, but he just continues to be that good coach on the floor. A player that's going to do the right things, that knows the scouting reports, that's going to kind of huddle guys together and talk things out and figure out where they need to be, what they need to do in the next plays, things coming up. So love seeing that. Obviously, he's going to give up a little bit on the defensive side the same way Cubs does in athleticism against elite guards, but great to see him stepping up in the minutes and obviously not complaining or anything like that. And if you haven't listened to, which most of you probably have, go listen to Assembly Call's post-game. They had Miller Kopp on, and he had great things to say about Anthony Leal and his just mentality and everything. It's really great to see and hear from Miller Kopp, someone that has firsthand knowledge of this team and this coaching staff. So definitely check out that show. Ware continues to obviously be Indiana's best player. Continue to have a great game. Leading scorer for IU, 18 points, 8 for 12 from the field, 1 for 1 from 3. Is our best three-point shooting team player right now, percentage-wise, which is odd, obviously, but hey, I'll take it. 1 for 2 from the free throw, 14 rebounds. He was a lot more aggressive with the rebounds. That was great to see. Obviously, going against Reese, their big man and everything, who's very good as well. Liked a lot of what I saw from him. I'd like for him to maybe take another 2 threes or so. If he finishes taking 3 on the game, that's fantastic. But just an elite player. It's got a great motor on him and all that effort stuff that we heard coming out, question marks from Oregon and everything, is just, he's quieted all of that to the point where without knowing or seeing too many Oregon games last year, almost makes me feel like that rumor was made up because I don't see any of that. He's doing great for this team and continues to lead. And obviously as well, you could really see it in this game. Maryland is a team that's not going to light it up from 3-point as well. They want to get to the basket. And you saw many times in this game where they would get underneath and they would question going up again. because they know that 7-footer's there, and he's really good at blocking and does a great job of also with that size staying out of foul trouble. And again, I just want to reiterate his rebounding ability has definitely leveled up and is doing a lot better, securing it, coming down strong with it, because you're going to have those little guys around you poking at it and trying to pop it out. And I think that was part of his rebounding struggles to start the game. So obviously they've seen that in tape, and he's taken the steps forward that he needs to make that better. Malik continues to be probably number 2 on this team as far as skill and second best player on our team, I would say. Finished with only just 19 points. I was in foul trouble, and obviously got a little frustrated with the travel calls that he had against him. Some of those are questionable. Obviously, he gets a little dancy with his feet when he's going to go to that hook. But he's also got fantastic footwork. And I would hate to say it, but I don't know if refs are anticipating the travels or just are saying, well, he moved too well for a big guy. That's got to be a travel. So they're getting a little whistle happy on him. But love to see what he finished for IU. Looking at his stats here. In those just 19 minutes that he played for IU, he did finish with 11 points, 4 for 6 from the field, 1 for 2 on threes. Again, he and Ware were the first 2 IU players to make 3-pointers for IU. I like that he took 2. That second one was so close to going in. He was perfect from the line, 2 for 2, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, 4 turnovers. Got a little sloppy with the turnovers towards the end of the game, 1 block. But again, very productive per minutes. Just needs to settle those little fouls and stuff. And there was one foul, I think I tweeted out at the beginning of the game. There was one foul that he had where that was more CJ's fault, where CJ didn't find his man in transition or was lost and had to close out on his man taking a 3-point shot, and then his man shot faked, dribbled around him, got to the basket. Malik had to kind of step up and fouled him a little bit. So that foul was not on him. But 4 fouls, a lot in the first half, is obviously what contributed to him having to sit. And keeping that theme again of next man up with him sitting, that gave Anthony Walker a little bit more time in this game as well. Probably finished with, without diving too deep, the most minutes he's had so far this season with 21. Finished with 6 points, 3 for 5 from the field. Didn't take a 3, thank goodness. Again, I'm sorry to say that. Anthony, thank goodness, didn't take the 3. 1 rebound, 2 turnovers, 1 steal. Really liked what you see from him contributing off the court. Just a great teammate out there. Added a hairstylist to his list of resume things. I don't know if any of you have been on Twitter. Check that out. There's a fun video of during a dead ball where Gabe Cupps' hair is a little tufted up and he fixes it for him. Just shows that he's just that fun teammate and everything. And he's always smiling. Just like what he does. There's one moment kind of though that comes to mind. He's really good at hitting those kind of floaters, at kind of getting into the lane. There's one part of the game where Indiana was getting late in the shot clock, and Walker had the awareness that when the ball got to him, there wasn't many seconds left on the clock. He was able to dribble past his guy and get a basket for IU. So great little play there. Again, I love that little floater. That's very much Trey's game as well, that he does. There was also another moment, and again, this is why I'm thankful he didn't take the 3, because he had the opportunity. He had the chance to huck up a 3 in this game. It was in the second half, I believe, where he got the ball at the top of the key, and his man didn't meet him out there. He was wide open, but wisely put it on the floor, dribbled up, got about to the free throw or so, and threw that little floater or a shot. I forgot which one it was at that point, but made that basket. So great awareness by him to take the higher percentage, take that space that he was given, and instead of hooking up a 3, going for the higher percentage shot and more what's in his wheelhouse and making the basket for IU. I really like really like that. Really like what I saw out of him coming out of the bench, and he was probably one of the brighter spots off the bench for Indiana last night. Another thing that gets Indiana fans and myself included very excited is a very large step forward for McKenzie in this game. Finished with 13 points, 4 for 9 from the field, 1 for 2 from 3, perfect from a free throw stripe, 7 rebounds. That's really great to see. 3 assists. Just another great step forward for him. This is starting to see what he can be, and he can continue to build from here. I think he can take a few more threes. The one three I think that he did miss even was another rattler that rattled in and out. IU had a few of those tonight or last night in the game. But like to see his trajectory headed towards the right way. He's finally figuring things out. The game is slowing down for him a little bit. Defensively, he looked a lot better. He had a better matchup in this game where he was playing against Jordan Geronimo for a lot of the game. So a better matchup for him defensively. So that kind of led to probably some more confidence for him overall. But a step in the right way, step in a good way. Great momentum, obviously, again, coming up with the schedule that we have to see him finding his way and everything. And I did mention his name. I do want to mention as well. I don't know those that were there. Jen, maybe you can mention in the chat for me. I hope everyone was kind. I hope it did on TV. Didn't seem like the fans were being too rough on Jordan Geronimo. I know there were probably some students that were jeering him a little bit. And it's tough for a player to come back to the team that you used to play for, especially when you have to go and play an away game like this early in the season. And you could see that affected him. And you could see him struggling, especially towards the end of the game, to really kind of lift his head up. It was hurting him mentally. And that was always a struggle that Jordan had when he was at IU, getting past the mental hurdles that he had. So I feel that for him. And it's a bummer. And if there were some fans there that were kind of, okay, good. Jen is saying, as she was there, that the fans were respectful for Geronimo. So thank you for that. Thank you for welcoming him back, because we should never be like that. If any other players choose to go somewhere else, they just want more play time. They want to maybe try a better fit for themselves and see what they can get moving forward. And so I'm happy to hear that, and I wish him the best. And he has had some success there, and same with like Tamar Bates over at Mizzou. I hope for him the best and everything going forward. And obviously, we can flip that on the other side. If a player does leave bad, if a player is bad mouthing the coaching staff or people or the fans or something as he's on his way out, then you have a little more leeway to give him a little bit of razz when we play against him. But in Jordan's stead, thank you for being respectful, Hoosier Nation, to him, and thank you to the student section. Probably overall, there were probably a few bad actors, but being on him a little bit for those missed shots, that's fine. That's gamesmanship. That's how you play. But thank you for not putting it on him a little bit more. The last kind of players that I want to talk about, the rest of IU's bench, IU's 2 sophomores that are on the bench, CJ and Banks. I think they struggled offensively, but I loved, again, what they did defensively. They do a lot of effort things. They do a good job. I think CJ's on-ball defense was a little bit better this game. I did mention, obviously, the moment above where he just got lost in that moment, but his on-ball defense has been pretty good this year, and there were a few games in the past where he stepped up that on-ball defense, and it has been elite. So I'd like to see him take that notch back up again. But he's very active. Would have liked him to maybe lay up that dunk he tried to tomahawk down. It would have been really cool to see him nail that. Obviously, the assembly hall would have exploded if he nailed that. But like what they do overall, just I think it's going to take a bit for that to come around for them. I really like what Coach Tonsoni said on assembly call last night. He said, "Don't give up on these guys." And that's right. I mean, I'm not going to give up on him. He's on them. They're going to have moments where they click. They're going to have moments where they're going to have to click for IU, and they are really going to be ones that can bring up this team once they can have those moments where they can contribute. Because this was a game where IU proved that it can put that effort out for 3/4 of the game, for 30 minutes of the game. There was that 10 minutes, obviously, where it lacked, and it's in those 10 minutes where it lacks that IU needs those bench guys to come in and spell the starters, spell the guys that are getting it going, to be able to make it more of a 35 minutes, 40 minutes complete game. Obviously, that's striving for perfection, but that's what we want to do. You want to strive to get the most out of every player on your team and on your roster. So not bad by them, but not where they can be. And they will continue to improve and do better things for IU. Looking at the numbers in this game, obviously the scariest number that stands out, that doesn't look great, and obviously is a little bit disbelief when you think about the game overall, is 16 turnovers. And I went back and looked play by play in the stat sheet, and 10 of those turnovers came in that last 10 minutes of the game, where IU had 6 of those turnovers in the other 30 minutes of the game, with just 3 turnovers in the first half. So again, that first half was just fantastic for IU. 10 assists to go with those 3 turnovers as well in that first half. So just love what we did in that first half, and hopefully we can continue to build on that. 17 assists overall for Indiana. Shooting wasn't the greatest, but we did take care of business on the defensive end. So obviously that shooting isn't as big of a deal, but if IU shoots a little bit better than what they did, obviously this game could be quite a bigger score or separation in the final score of this game. IU was 45% from the field, 33.3% from the field. That was 3 for 9. And the really kind of glaring shooting wise too was on the free throw line, shooting 10 for 18. We'd love to see, obviously, 4 or 5 more of those go in for Indiana, bringing it more up to their average percentage. But some of that was the guys that got to the free throw line, being that CJ Gunn and Peyton Sparks shot 8 of those 18. Not our better 3-point or free throw shooters on the team. So that's what's bringing down that percentage. Obviously, another huge number that's great to see is the rebounding. 46 rebounds for Indiana. Let me see in the split box how that lines up against the opponents. 16. That's plus 16 on the rebounds. That's huge for Indiana. It's obviously been a focus. 15 offensive rebounds. So great numbers there, and a stat that needs to continue. And I think a stat that is going to continue if this type of effort continues, and that's going to possibly be even a gauge of the effort for this Indiana offense or Indiana team overall, is how they are rebounding. Great to see that Galloway was 6 of those rebounds as well. So 7 from McKenzie. McKenzie was a little bit more active on the rebound side. Obviously, Ware finishes with 14 rebounds overall, but a great effort in that standpoint for IU. IU wins the points in the paint, obviously 40-26. Bench points, IU with just 11. Would love to see that come up. Second chance points, getting those offensive rebounds, won that battle 14-8. Just again, an overall better game, a great game for Indiana, a game you'd want to see going into this tough stretch that we have going forward, and a momentum builder for IU since we have Michigan coming up. Obviously, the other big juice and the big energy thing going on in Indiana is IU welcomes Coach Sig to the Indiana football squad. Obviously, seems to be a great hire. I don't pretend to know a lot about the college football coaching sphere and who's out there, who's at different levels. But as we've been looking closely. All of us have been, many of you as well, have been glued to the different message boards as things have developed throughout the week, and read different bios people have written, looked up different deep dives into articles, YouTube videos, things you've seen as things were progressing in this. It went the right way for Indiana and went the way we all were hoping it would. And IU definitely got a good one, I think, in this. The question is, how is it going to produce? Well, right now, at least, he has definitely won the press conference and won the press tour. IU's been putting him out there. If you noticed in the game, it was great that they showed it on the telecast and everything. Great little moment during a dead ball, getting out on the microphone and saying he doesn't take a back seat to anybody. Really aggressive with his talk, knowing how to win over a very juiced Assembly Hall at that moment. We were on kind of a high at the first half, I believe, when he got out there with the microphone, saying what he needed to say, claiming a little Purdue sucks, and so does Ohio State and Michigan. Obviously, a little bit of pander there, but pander that we all love and will eat up with a big old spoon from Hoosier Nation. Just kind of seems like really kind of a no-nonsense guy, and dare I say, a little bit of kind of Coach Knight in him, keeping it real with the reporters. Obviously, it seems like I haven't watched the whole press conference yet. I look forward to watching that at some point, but everyone kind of saying he kind of snaps back to the reporters, and I like to see that. This is definitely a hire that has ignited the fan base, and let's continue that energy, and let's continue that. And I kind of step out and challenge you all that are listening to this, that if you haven't yet, go contribute to one of the different NIL collectives that are out there. Obviously, you have the In for Indiana. You have the Hoosier Hysterics that have theirs. There's lots of different ones. I'm not impartial to anyone. I'm not going to push one over the other, but just contribute to that. Get this ball rolling. Let's get things going for this coach. Let's set him up for success. And I'm excited. I'm amped. I'm ready to run through brick walls for this football team. And it's just great to see overall excitement by the fan base, loving to see what he's going to bring, and the energy and game day experience and overall change just for this program in a much needed times, and how that's going to trickle over, because a lot of other IU athletics are really starting to hum, and football was really falling by the wayside. And hopefully this is going to be a step in the right direction forward for this team and everything. So one last kind of little pitch and everything. I don't have Martha here to pitch it for me, but obviously we like to promote here on Hoosier Morning After the Hoosier Ticket Project. So with a few games coming up, the holiday season coming up as well, please definitely go to HoosierTicketProject.org. Donate any tickets that you have. As Martha kind of said in the last thing, if you are on the fence whether you're going to make it or not to a game, try to do your best to make that decision early on, so they have plenty of time to house people and find homes for those tickets, and get families to these games, and big fans that couldn't normally afford to financially or for other circumstances get to these games, get in there and cheer on this team, as we are on the up and up, and things are looking good. So again, HoosierTicketProject.org. Go there and donate if you can. IU, obviously, like I mentioned many times, is heading into a tough stretch. IU's next game is against Michigan on Tuesday. That is IU's first Peacock game. So if you didn't take advantage of the Black Friday deal, I did. Luckily, hopefully, many of you did as well. But this is something you're going to have to sign up for. Go onto your smart TV or whatever device that you watch the games and pre-download that app. Get yourself logged in so you're not doing that last minute, but get yourself prepared for that game on Tuesday. It's going to be a tough one. Going into Michigan is not easy. Big Ten on the road is not easy. Just ask Purdue. But a really tough thing going forward with that game. Then we've obviously got the Auburn game after that in Atlanta. Greg saying he's driving to the Auburn game from Indy. I really wish I almost got to that game. Again, I live in Charlotte, so I'm just a mere 3-4 hours. Don't have the drive that Greg's going to have, but couldn't make it to that game. I'm a little disappointed I wasn't able to pull the trigger on that. Then, obviously, the big game of the preseason, Kansas at home, going to be electric, going to be energetic, going to be an exciting game. I look forward to seeing those matchups in that game, see what Ware can do against Hunter Dickinson. Obviously, IU's had his number before, but he's going to be out for fire and everything, as well as this Kansas fan base, and so are we. We struggled against them last year when we went to their home. So now they come to our home, and let's put it on them big time. Jen, I see you say you're going to Atlanta too. Of course you are. Of course you are. Jennifer always at most of those games, makes those trips and everything. So exciting to see that. Excited to see, obviously, IU travels really well. So those neutral court travel games continue to be close to a home game where IU is able to travel. Even like I said, like last year's game that I was able to get to out in Vegas, where Arizona was closer. It was darn near a 50-50 split in that game. So great job by Hoosier Nation to travel and continue to be one of the best fan bases in college basketball. So closing my thoughts on this game, again, just a fantastic step forward. A game that IU needed, a game that many of the players needed, a game that Trey needed, a great game that Mackenzie needed, just to build that confidence, build that idea in their head that I can do this, I can continue to succeed from here. That's not to say that they're done. They need to continue that effort. They need to build on that. Trey can make a few more threes, get that confidence in his shooting, because that shooting confidence is not quite there yet. But his at least ability to know that he can be aggressive and attack the basket is there. Mackenzie as well, still figuring out things as he gets going. But fantastic game, fantastic movement in the right direction. Everything is amped, great energy. Let's get through this weekend. Let's get everyone healthy. Let's continue to build on this. Let's get into Tuesday, and let's take care of Michigan. But that will do it on this edition of Hoosier Morning After. Thank you for being there with me live. Love seeing you guys there live with me. Jen, John, Greg, all you guys there in the live YouTube chat. Come on over to YouTube if you can in the mornings and watch this game. Participate with the guys in the discussions and everything. Throw up your questions, comments, and everything. I'll throw them up live on the video as well. Follow me on Twitter at General Chadwick. There you can find out more information about the show, when we're going to go live. Special thanks to Bob Thompson again for the music here on the show. We'll be back again Wednesday morning for Hoosier Morning After Michigan. Until then, go out there, have yourself a wonderful day, and let's go Hoosiers.